path to creating a digital product. Posting this in the main forum this time to get more feedback. I realized I've been trying to start businesses with incredibly low entry barriers, and when I did nothing to add more value. I spent a few days brainstorming and came up with 3 solutions to problems, all of them working best as an app. 1. In the mental health niche, easiest to monetize, most difficult to make, highest entry barriers but with the potential to help a lot of people. 2. Food or nutrition niche. Initially started as a different idea but morphed when I looked at the keyword tool and discovered a ton of searches for something with low competition. Social network. Very reluctant with this one as social network apps usually die a tragic death, but it's something I wish existed and I've seen people post about this need too. No idea how to monetize. How do you even market a new SM app? Unfortunately, it's the one I most want to make. Made landing pages, ran FB ads. The mental health one got the most email opt-ins, something like per 50 AD views, 10 clicks, 5 opt-ins. Next was the social network, averaging at 3%, and the nutrition with 0 lol. Realized Google ads were better for this as people are actively looking for solutions. Getting conflicting data though, or while it's pretty much the same result as FB in terms of conversion, some of the keyword conversion percents of the nutrition app were insane, like 60 to 100%. 2 even got 200%, which I don't know how. Lol. The SM one got 1000 more impressions, which is why it costs more, so looks like I'll either be making the SM or the mental health one running another set of more targeted FB ads. There is not enough interest for the nutrition app. The mental health one is getting a lot of views and I'm getting email opt-ins. The user demographics are the most interesting. These tend to be people you wouldn't typically think of having mental problems. An app would fill that niche. The SM1 is getting a lot of interest from the younger users, 13 to 18 mostly. Looks like I'll be making the mental health one, but damn it, I really wanted to make this maybe one. I'll chip away at it from time to time. Next step is planning the app out, since it's quite extensive. Doesn't have a lot of features but is definitely advanced level programming. Spent the last week going through a large Udemy course on Swift. And now I'm going to start developing my app. The doubt is hitting me hard. I worry no one will be interested in it or want to subscribe. Finished the mock-ups for the app. Feature creep is definitely a thing. I battled with myself to keep it a bare-bones product so I can build it up from there as I receive feedback. Figured out 2 ways to monetize, a subscription and rewards service. That way even if my users don't subscribe they'll be getting great value. And if they do subscribe their spend will be cancelled out by the rewards. I also completed the launch screen for the app in Xcode. Very small task I know, but seeing it load up on my phone made me so happy. The thought of how difficult this will be to program terrifies me, but even if it takes a year it'll be better and help more people than the saturated vomit I was trying to market. I guess it's also worth mentioning that I dropped the social network idea for now. No clear way of monetizing plus no hungry group to consume the app means it's a very bad idea. Spent an eternity trying to change the status bar color and align buttons to look right on different screen sizes. Added an app icon though and I'm getting another kick out of looking at it on my phone. Now I'm wondering whether it's a good idea to read through some more tutorials before building I know this. I can pull something together but whether it will be well structured or pure spaghetti code is the problem. I don't want to delay making this even more, but I don't want to have a badly built app either. A couple thoughts came to mind while reading your progress. So check it out. Great work getting started. Looks like you did a bit of market testing up front. I'm not sure if it was enough since you mentioned doubting if people would buy. What has you doubting this? Is the value not there? If not, then probably focus on that area first. Getting the app online and monetizing it doesn't make sense if you don't have an offer that's valuable for people. I'm not sure how valuable your rewards system is yet, but to me it makes sense to address the area of doubt. Make your end product valuable and awesome enough, and your spaghetti code will be nothing more than an afterthought at best for your customer. You'll be modding and changing the app as it grows over time anyway. I know there is a demand for something like this from what people on forums have been posting, for example, and I also ran some surveys. People gave me some great ideas on what to implement, and looking at similar apps I'm confident I can provide value. I guess I'm just a doubtful person. I'm worried that even if I provide value no one will buy it. One of my worries is that people will use the free version of the app and never subscribe, or delete it once they find they have to pay to access more features. The spaghetti code issue worries me because if I write it too badly, refactoring is going to be a bitch and it may slow down the app a lot. Adding or editing features of a poorly written app is much more difficult and inefficient than in a well-written and structured one. Can you get into more details on how you did your research? Where did you publish surveys? Regarding your point about users only using the free version, you are worrying about step 145 after having done just step 5 or so. If you get a significant amount of people to use your service at all, then you already have a winner. After that you can start to think about monetizing. You mentioned somewhere that you would be okay if the development of the app would take a year. I would suggest to try to build something in 2 to 3 months. I did this mistake and worked on an app for about 6 to 7 months only to find out that it has really hard to get enough users for that app. I have now found a way to build my ideas as fully functioning MVP's web app. Most of the time this is enough to validate the idea. And if my app or service is a huge success, then having to rewrite the app is one of my smallest problems. Send me a PM if you have questions or want to discuss further. I created landing pages and drove traffic to them using FB ads and Google ads. This app got the most opt-ins and had the best conversion rate. Also asked around forums for people to fill in a survey on this app or what features they'd like on an app for mental health. You're right about me overthinking stuff and jumping ahead too soon. Getting the MVP out is most important. I plan to put together a basic working version and roll it out to beta testers, get their feedback and continue from there. I hope I can get it out in 2 to 3 months. But I'm a beginner in iOS programming, so it might take longer. Though one great thing, even if it takes a long time and the idea flops, I can use those new skills to put together a new product in 10x the speed. Just finished setting up basic login or register functionality using Firebase. That was the easy part. Thankfully I'm off for a week from work, so I can work on this all day and make a lot of progress. Having a blast with this, spending Christmas Eve eating chocolates and coding. I finally managed to implement Google Sign-In and cleaned it all up with custom error messages and basic UI stuff. Tempting to just ignore them, but I'm trying to take care of everything that may frustrate my users. I'm not losing anyone on the sign-up screen. I'm getting used to Xcode and Swift and I love it now. Hope that it won't take a year is on the horizon. Finished creating the tab bar and the status bar that holds some of the user's stats. The navigation is basically I'm really happy I chose to dive right into this rather than waste more time on tutorials. The only issues I'm having right now is how to implement a subscription wall or paywall, and getting FB login to work. They won't send me a confirmation text because their Facebook and everything has to be complicated. One idea. You can show your app mockups to the leads on your list and get feedback or pre-sales. You might need more data. You're not wasting money if you spend $500 this month in advertising. It's market research. Generally you should spend 3 months tweaking the ads and the ad copy, to see if you can really persuade them to buy your app. Email opt-ins are not the same thing as sales. Are you charging them to opt in? If not, consider giving them a discount if they pre-order. If you don't get much action, retest the ad, the landing page appeal, and target prospects. If you're still unsuccessful after 90 days of testing, the idea may not be worth pursuing. If you do decide to scrap the idea, don't forget to refund the money of anyone who pre-ordered. Don't sweat it. Move on to the next one. Yeah, I agree with you on needing more data. I was just about to create a better landing page and launch ads again. I was thinking of a freemium or monthly subscription model rather than a one-time app cost. Is it even possible to pre-order apps subscription-based ones without specific release dates? Created a new landing page, imported all my old opt-in emails into MailChimp and set up an FB ad. I'm not sure whether I should keep double opt-in enabled or not. On one hand, I can get more emails having just a single opt-in. Users don't need to confirm their emails, but some users may just forget to click confirm. However, I open myself up to spam and less serious users without double opt-in. Managed to implement Facebook sign-in. Their documentation is not the best out there. It really needs to be updated. They are still using deprecated methods and have the most important code examples only in Objective-C. And I thought Google was difficult. Wrote out the order of the features I need to add so I'm not just developing things randomly. There are about 20 of them, and I think if I can manage 2 a week I'll be doing really well. Been making steady progress. Made some concept changes to include more value. Felt it was a bit bare in the fear of feature creep, but even the most basic app has to include good value. Finished the UI for the profile page and actually managed to save user data to Firebase. This is huge because as a dev, using databases scares the living shit out of me. This is the part I was most worried about. If you guys ever need a good tutorial on creating users, storing and letting them change their data, this is very good. Now the rest of my app is simply storing, saving and updating stuff in the database. It seemed complicated in my head, but when you break it down it's alright. Perhaps the nightly panic attacks on whether I can create this will finally go away. Another issue I'm thinking about is the payment scheme. Freemium is 100% the way I'm going, but should the paid version be a monthly subscription or a one-time payment? Monthly means more revenue and more loyal customers, but App Store users are used to one-time payment apps so might be put off by it. On the other hand, one-time payments mean the user might just pay and stop using it, and less revenue. Slightly related, I was searching for bass booster apps for my Mac the other day as Spotify doesn't have an equalizer for the desktop. I found Boom 2 and installed it reluctantly as it has a short trial. Holy shit, this thing is amazing. The equalizer is fantastic and I've been recommending it to everyone. I have no doubt I'm gonna pay after my trial is over. I would pay 10x what they ask. Anyway, this situation made me realize that people will not only pay for something, but throw money at it if it delivers. Read up on in-app subscriptions and how they're the fastest growing app monetization method. Watched this video from Apple about designing for subscriptions, which was good. This is starting to take a toll on my health. Since I work in tech and stay on the computer all day, I don't really have a rest and everything is starting to hurt. Increase in workload at my day job has made me realize once again how miserable I am. They've added more meetings to my schedule for God knows what reason. I'm terrified I'll get laid off even when things are going well. My anxiety is through the roof and it's really ironic I'm making this app. I think I severely need it myself. How much would it cost to freelance the MVP out? I checked out a few price calculators and it'll be at least $8,000. Even that sounds low. Some estimates go $20K plus, money I don't have. I want to make it myself. Then if I want to change something I don't have to hire people or familiarize myself with code I haven't written, and I can use the knowledge learned to build more products. There are some aspects of the app I might not be able to make myself, some artwork which I might freelance out, and if I struggle on the more difficult parts I can hire for that when I get to it. I think I'll definitely need to pay for testers to see if there are any holes in the logic, as I'm new to Swift and haven't been a developer for long either. And Firebase is now storing, displaying and updating information correctly in my app. The user can now see their personal stats and set a profile image. I've been grinning at it for hours. Achieving something so simple for some programmers makes me so happy. Xcode is a pleasure to work with. Best IDE ever. The best way to learn really is to jump in. No tutorials can amount to how much is learned when you throw yourself in with a proper project. Have been eating, sleeping, breathing this for the past few days since I ramped up my work on it. I've been ticking off 2 tasks a day as opposed to my plan 2 a week. Read an article on database costs which scared me a bit, raised some doubts like what if my costs are larger than my earnings? We'll also need to get someone to check through my code to make sure it's robust once it's done. If anyone knows a good service for this, please tell. Hitting major roadblocks with this. What can I say? It couldn't all just go smoothly till the finish line. There are 2 main issues: 1. Part of my app includes a game-like element, so I need to implement sprite etiquette and delve into some game tutorials. Stack Overflow are helpful with technical questions, but when you ask a question on how to implement something or just want direction, they eat you alive. Some moody slowlaners on there lol, posting in their 2-minute breaks. The rewards system. My idea was to integrate a rewards system which offers items, whether that's games, movies, phones, or even bigger items based on your progress. But I can't find affiliates that will give such a large % off to make the user feel like they're actually winning a reward rather than just using an affiliate code to get some 2% off. If anyone has any ideas on this, please reply or message me. Related, I actually fiddled around with Sprite Kit for a few days and made an awesome looking simple game that I could send into the App Store today, but it's too much of a clone. Might try my hand at this eventually. I've had a difficult week, though a lot was learned. I was in the state of analysis paralysis with my app because of the 2 problems I mentioned in my last post. But then I realized that even though in a perfect world I would have those features how I initially imagined, the MVP doesn't have to be perfect, and it's alright for my app to look primitive at least in its first draft. So I'm implementing a much simpler version of those 2 elements and will build upon that. I continued to mess around with Sprite Kit and even Scene Kit, and I'm surprisingly good at it. I completed an app and put it up for sale as a template on Shopomobile and sell me app as a way to sell shovels in the gold rush. I'm also plugging away at a small game in those moments I need a break from my main app. My day job is making me depressed. I was feeling really demotivated this week after struggling for days on end on a task that would take a more experienced developer a few hours, but finally got it to work. I went back to my list of tasks a few minutes ago and I've completed half of them. In a few days I'm going abroad for another company meeting. I spent the last meeting reading and coming up with business ideas, and now I'm working on that business. That's amazing to me. Steadily plugging away at the app, some features I've been trying to rid of bugs for weeks. Stack Overflow isn't as active for Swift as it is for JavaScript. I'll get there, but it's taking a long time. I rethought a feature of the app and redesigned it. Surprise surprise, my UI design has got better too, and now it looks like something I'd pay for rather than something a lazy student shat out. My deadline for first draft is end of March. If you guys need any UI inspiration or don't know where to start with your designs, Dribble is brilliant. Obliterated a few of the bugs I was struggling on. This weekend I started and finished a feature that I thought would take me at least a week. It's easily the most addicting part of the app and I love how it turned out. I'm still surprised at how I managed to finish it so swiftly without any bumps. Just a few more features left until it's done. I suffer from this also. Just have to keep at it. The hardest part is in the beginning. Sounds like you've done loads. Following this, looking forward to seeing how you get on. Thanks, almost finished, actually. Last feature is being implemented today, then it's wiring up the membership stuff. After that it's just polishing the designs and smoothing out bugs. Work has been incredibly stressful. Recently they've started piling projects on me and demanding more and more as if I'm some genius robot that can churn out results without a break. I'm exhausted and have missed my deadline for finishing the app. So I just said FCK it and took a week off in the middle of their demands. I'm going to finish the last feature today, and then the main functionality is done. If there was no membership involved, it would be complete. My full-time job has just reminded me how I need to get out. The only thing that worries me is how bad my code is. I think it's very brittle and I'm not advanced enough to optimize it. Good. It's done. Well, nearly. First draft is done. Now I need to integrate membership and lock down any non-member content, fix the UI, and test it. Congrats. I'm also working a small JavaScript app on my website and it takes me hours sometimes to get through bugs and figure out things. It's a slow learning process sometimes, but I think dev skills pay off in the end. Definitely, especially when you've got a working product in front of you and you know you did all of it. UI overhaul complete, integrated notifications. Just the membership now. Found a nice set of videos and should be done with it in a week. Then what's left is this weekend I improved the app's website. I'm gonna look into submitting it to sites like Product Hunt, though I want to stay anonymous and that's difficult. Also, how to change thread title. Want to change it to path to building an app. Also forgot to mention. Just told my dad I finished an app and he told me I need many years of education and extreme genius, which you're not, and maybe then I can think about starting some business in the future. So I've finished something and he's saying I can't build the very thing I've built until a decade has passed and I've got a pile of debt and worthless higher education because it's worthless for my goals where in the future. In other news, I've been watching this cherry red Audi R8 go past me this week and I thinks it's my Lambo moment. Holy shit, it's beautiful. This is the Slowlane-yor's Felicito. Be perfect before starting. Almost everyone falls for it. All that matters is that you can fill a need or solve a problem incrementally. The skills can be obtained on the go, but if you constantly work on the solving the need step by step, you will be gold. Focus on solving the need, but make sure the need is real. Don't focus on raising intrinsic value or skills action fake solely because it might become handy later. Being an expert in something doesn't mean you are solving a need. But I'm sure you know this. Keep going 100%. I used to be obsessed with starting courses and learning things just because they might make me money someday. I like the rush of doing something new with the excuse that it will pay out someday. I'm so happy I didn't just continue trudging through courses waiting to feel ready. I created a Trello board of my tasks this week and feel like an idiot for using pen and paper for months. This is much more streamlined. Gotta say though, pen and paper feels much more hustly. The amount of bugs I have left to fix is depressing. Wow. Almost finished. I had a day off work last week and blazed through a ton of bugs. I'd get so far if I did this every day all day. I can feel my skills leveling up. I'm looking at old code and grimacing at it, fixing like it's no problem, and my UI design is 100x better. No longer terrified of the app crashing and burning from spaghetti code. Been reading a lot on launching and pretty sure I can do it successfully. I'm excited. Awesome progress. Great to see that you really feel like you've been improving. Great feeling. Do you still have an opt-in page running that you can share? I'd like to see one so that I can make my own, but funny as it is, I don't know what to say on it. Yep, I made it a while ago and I'm updating it now to match the app changes. I'll send it to you once it's done. It can be difficult to think of what to say. Do you have a finished product or and you somewhere in between? You can always refine it as you build your product. I looked at some studies on what people wanted in such a product and worded it that way. I also have experience with bad mental health, so I can put myself in my user's shoes. The way I structured it was: :1. Header with get early access. When click takes you to newsletter sign up. 2. The problem 3. How my product solves that problem and how it specifically is the best of all solutions. 4. Email opt-in. 5. Contact form. You might like to look at similar pages and take sections from their code, and modify it to your own page. It would save you a lot of time and give you more room to customize the page rather than paying a lot for landing page services. If you have your own site, you can transition the page from opt-in to actual website as you release your product, and add to it over time. And keep GDPR in mind when creating the opt-in form. Good luck. Send the page over if you'd like some more IDC about GDPR, since I am going to target USA peeps. My product isn't developed as I am looking for people to test the idea and refine before creation. Thanks for replying. Wow, it's done. I'll be submitting it for review this week or the next. The one problem I have is all the legal stuff. I want to release my app under a company name, not my own name. So I'll have to register and limit it from some company formation service. Then I have to write the terms and privacy policy for my app using that company name. I know the tip here is not to start registering company names and rushing ahead, but it's necessary if I want to submit the app. I'm terrible at taxes, don't really know whether I'll end up finding an accountant again, seems like rushing ahead. Any tips from anyone who's been through this? Are you incorporating in UK? I found this good read.
Yes, I am.
Thanks for the article. Some good tips in there that eased my mind. The marketing is what I'm scared of. I'm good at developing, but marketing is new to me. Still, even a bit of marketing is better than just shooting it off into the App Store like that. I need to blow this launch out of the water. Marketing was always my weak point. Hold me, I'm scared. Do you really need to blow this launch out of the water? It might be helpful to think of marketing as lots of little tests. Maybe just release it. Also, think of who you're trying to help. Put them foremost in your mind. Picture them. Does that make it seem less scary? From what I've been reading on launching an app, you have much higher chance of being featured and being a success if you get a lot of downloads at launch. You'd need a good plan for that. And I'm terrified of my app just failing before it's even started due to not being visible. Though I definitely would prefer to launch and then begin submitting to sites like Product Hunt, searching for PR, etc. It's stressing me out thinking about coordinating the launch with the marketing and the submitting. Also realized this week I've been worrying about the wrong marketing channels. Product Hunt plus Press was at the top for me, but I realized that they might cause a surge in downloads, but it'll die off. Something like 70% of apps are discovered by searching the App Store, not reading blogs. So I've put SEO in the forefront, and trying to get featured by Apple. I think I can do it. Will launch in 2 weeks. Launch will probably be early to mid-August. I'm excited to finally get this thing out. Submitted. Already fixed some bugs from my quick rejection lol. I feel a bit weird, having finished it. Now I have this huge chunk of time freed. Working on this app became part of my identity. Are you free today? No. Busy working the past few months. Forgot to update. My app is still awaiting approval. It's been 2 weeks. In the meantime I've started developing another one for fun, and I'm surprised at how much easier it is the second time around. Hoping the review is done this week. The other app is almost finished. I think working on a main app and also pushing out smaller ones to see what sticks is a good plan. My app got approved. Amazing progress. Congrats on getting it launched. How are you planning on marketing it? Will you be focusing on paid media to drive the initial downloads? Or will you use a more organic or App Store approach? Thanks. It's launching mid-August, so not yet. My main plan is App Store optimization. Something like 70% of users find an app through App Store search. I really went ham on SEO and optimized it for several countries, got some great keywords. I think I did as well as I possibly could with SEO. I'll now focus on posting around forums and perhaps building an Instagram. Not sure though. I'm not good at marketing, it's gonna be a challenge. Not touching paid anything for now, except maybe influencer marketing if needed. That's a good idea. Always have a beta test before launching. Good idea. I built an app a few years ago and had quite a bit of success with SEO, just over 500,000 downloads, and didn't use any paid media at all. The app itself was for a company in the cannabis industry, so it literally wasn't possible to use paid ads due to the ad networks seeing the industry as a bit of a grey area. Anyway, I got it to rank in the top 3 for a whole load of competitive keywords, and it ended up being in the top 50 in the medical category. Not bad seeing as I had never built an app before. Some things I did that worked. Create accounts or pages on the following social networks, make sure you properly compete each profile, add images, a good description, and make sure you add links to your App Store page. Create an account on the following websites. These are just some of the first websites you should look to get links from. It's really quick to do. And they are all high authority websites, so your app page will get the SEO benefits, so to speak. Obviously the above is not everything you'll need to do to market your app. It's just what I did when I launched the app I mentioned earlier. Longer term you want to build a name for your app and get more natural links and mentions that way. But when you're just beginning, you need to start with the quick wins. After you've built the easy links, you can then focus on contacting other relevant online media, blogs, etc. to try and gain some more coverage for your app. There's also a load of websites that are essentially directories of apps, so you should try and find out what they are, and then submit your app to. Oh, and don't forget to create an actual website for your app. It only had to be one pager, but it's worth doing. Anyways, I'll stop there as I feel like I'm rambling. Hopefully you'll find some of it useful. Thanks for your reply. These are some really good tips. I've started working on social media. In the past, when I've tried to grow accounts, I've completely failed. This time I'm gonna treat it like a science. I think the most difficult part is finding what to post so often. How did you do that? That's why I created a few articles beforehand. You can use that content as the basis for some of your posts. It'll make writing your social stuff much easier. I found generally if you break it into 3 RDS that it seems to do well. So have 1 or 3 of your posts directly marketing your app, another 1 or 3 of relevant industry stats or something similar, 1 or 3 other posts interacting with your followers or posting other stuff your target audience will find interesting or useful. Just make sure you add an image or video with each post. Also make sure your app includes your social media links somewhere so people can follow you directly from the app. Thanks again, we'll try this out. How's your app doing now? Made any others? Unfortunately, the app is no more due to the company I built it for stopping trading last year. After that I built a couple of small apps just playing around for myself, but my recent focus has been on developing an MVP solution. It's a PR research or outreach platform for digital media, so not had much time since then for app. It is something I'd like to look into more once my current project is nearer to completion. Good luck with your current project. As for the social media marketing, I've just come across a video on Instagram growth. The concept is: 1. Curate enough content so users don't see blank space when they open your page. 2. Make a good promo video for your page. 3. Find popular influencers or other curation pages. 4. Pay for shoutouts. 5. Rake in the followers. Once you have a lot of followers, the guy in the video got 100k in 48 hours. You can make money selling shoutouts yourself. But for us it would be hugely beneficial because we could market our products. You have to pay for the shoutouts, but it's minimal compared to the benefit. I have 2 weeks until launch, so if I manage to recreate what he did, it'll do wonders for my app. Here's the video. BTW. Thanks. Yeah, you need to use a different strategy with Instagram than with the other social networks. You can still post viral content, but it'll have less of an effect on your audience's initial growth. It's an interesting video. As my project is more of a B2B online service, I'd been thinking that I wouldn't bother with Instagram, but having watched the video I'd be silly not to give it a try now. I wouldn't expect many of my target audience to be massive Instagram users, but it'd be good brand awareness and probably quite a useful thing to learn. Generally, I'm a digital marketing consultant in my Slowlane job, so it's definitely a useful skill for me to have. If you do follow the advice from the video, just make sure you're posting content that is relevant to your target customer from the start. It's not much use having 100,000 14-year-old followers who won't be interested in your product. Far better to have 10,000 quality, engaged followers who are in your target market. Even for businesses that aren't that suited to typical Instagram posts, you could try giving your page a theme related to your content. For example, if you do web design, you could post interesting designs from Dribbble, or theme your page. I've seen people have a style where they post picture of the same color every week. Green, then pink, then blue, etc. Grow the page and occasionally throw in an ad for your company. Also, if you use someone's photo, crediting them is cool because they visit your page and like your stuff. That helps you build connections with people who are the source of good content, not just curators. Definitely agree with engaged followers being better than a mass of random unengaged ones. Plus you get better comments than just cool, love it, check my page out or some emoji. What skills did you need first? Social media. I may kick off a stink, but I do not think it holds longevity anymore. For what? About SM. I worry about this too sometimes. It's someone else's platform, plenty of people make a shit ton of money on it, but if it explodes in the night, there goes your income. I'd like to use it to build an audience so I have initial users. I agree with you to an extent. I was referencing it as a way of quickly syndicating links across the net as a means of improving your app store position. On its own it's definitely a risk, as you'll be putting all your eggs in one basket. But if you look at it as one spoke of a larger digital marketing wheel, then it can be an incredibly useful medium. Especially if you don't have loads to spend on paid ads. Last week was a bit crazy. I started a test Instagram in the travel niche to test out some growth methods. It's been about 6 days and it's grown to 700 followers. But most surprising is my engagement rate. I'm getting up to 60 comments and 1,500 likes on each image. All this from seeing how people respond to the posts and optimizing post per post. Now people are messaging me asking for help. This has given me even more business ideas. Amazing how good growth can be if you listen to your audience. In terms of the app, I've been sending off emails for PR to various sites. Hopefully one will pick it up. Launched. After so long, it feels really good to see my app actually live. It's already ranking really well for some of the main keywords in my niche. I assume this is because I was really thorough with SEO, and spent a long time on it. I launched it this morning, so I'll need a bit longer to see stats on my iTunes Connect. I'm excited. So, 2 weeks later. I've found that Reddit is one of the best places to find new users and get feedback. Not by posting your product to subreddits, but finding users that post to certain subreddits and messaging them genuine questions first and end with something like the reason I ask if because I have a product like _that_ and I'm looking for feedback. Anything you could share would be amazing. The key is starting with a question about them and their experience. Who doesn't love talking about themselves? You pick up some real friends and connections too. I've been overwhelmed with the positive feedback. I was sitting celebrating my mum's birthday with my family, and I decide to refresh my app's stats to see how many people have signed up today. Well, but also a new subscriber? After 70 sign-ups. Although it's only $5.25 profit, it really does feel like Christmas Day. Someone wants my app. Someone likes it enough to pay. I've added value to someone's life. And the best feeling is that I'm actually helping someone with a problem that used to plague my life, anxiety. Congratulations. Such a good feeling to get your first sale. How are you finding promoting it? Is there anything that's working particularly well? Thanks. It's made my entire month. I've found that personally contacting people who may benefit from the app works the best. I've messaged a lot of people on Reddit who may suffer from anxiety, asking them to share their story and what they think of existing apps or whether they want to try a new one. Most of the time they say they're desperate for a solution for anxiety and they'd love to try the app. I've had brilliant feedback so far. I've also been submitting it to a lot of directories. Betabound is one of them. The owner is friendly and you can get your site up quickly. Next week I'm launching on Product Hunt, which I expect to bring in a lot of new writing articles and submitting to Hackanoon. Hackanoon gets a lot of readers and getting published on it is easy. And also, Twitter ads. I find them better than FB ads for my niche, because you can target by people who have interacted with a particular hashtag or page. So you can target hashtag mental health or hashtag anxiety. With Facebook, you can't. Well done. The first one is especially sweet. Care to update this thread? How do you feel, especially in hindsight? Haven't updated in a while. The app is going well. I'm releasing a big update soon and am doing a harder launch than before. It looks better than before. Frankly, I am kind of embarrassed of the first version. I've also been working on a side project, and just got my first pre-order. I keep having FCK this moment. I took a week off from my day job and now I can't get back into it. I f***ing hate it. I know this is recommended against, but I might just quit. I am also living at my parents' house right now to avoid the extreme London rent and keep getting told not to move, speak, or make any noise. Was just told not to eat or open the fridge because it wakes them up. Total control freaks, which fine. It's their house, but when you're an adult you start to feel like a caged animal when you can't do basically. I've had enough and FK this. I want out. I'd rather be free and die at 30 than live like this till 70. Remember, if you don't feel embarrassed of your first version, you've waited for too long to release it. I actually did the same a few weeks ago. I left London and came back home with my parents so save money and have all the time needed for working on my projects. It just didn't make sense to stay there with such a ridiculous cost of living. I hope you'll make enough money to leave your parents soon. Best of luck. Despite not having such control-heavy parents as you do, I will tell you that the biggest change in the history of my company happened when I moved out. I got so much more done and for some reason it took so much more speed after that. I haven't read all of your previous posts yet, but speaking from experience I can only recommend getting out ASAP, even if it means you will have to live like a really poor man. I moved to the ghetto as close as it gets here in Scandinavia and I was still much happier and more productive than at my parents'. Go for it as soon as you can afford it. Definitely. I can't believe I was proud of that version. I'm happy I released it though, because version 2 is based off of people's feedback. It's ridiculous how expensive housing is in London. Something that would buy you a large apartment in the US buys you a smelly box here. Apart from that and the weather though, I like it. I can see it'd be worth it even to just escape the negativity. I love my parents, and I hate complaining about them in any way because considering that they raised me well it's a bit disrespectful. But the negativity and actual discouragement is never-ending. Only geniuses make it and you're no one. Go to university and maybe in 15 years you'll have enough money, etc. It's a contradiction considering they rebelled against their own parents and the norm back then by moving country along. I feel you, because my parents were sort of the same. And don't get me wrong, I do love my parents too. I think something happens with parents when their children endeavors onto the big world. They feel they need to protect them. Naturally of course. The thing is that they're biased, so it might not be the same advice they would give someone else who they don't care about as much. Keep doing what you feel is right and work on the business. My parents said the same and now they don't voice their opinion anymore. Only way to convince them is to prove them wrong. Of course, they've promised to eat their words if I retire them early. Well done on the update. It's made the app much more user-friendly. All the preset or suggested quests are really cool. It's a really nice looking or visually pleasing app. You should be very happy with yourself. Totally in a similar boat. Read a living situation. I've just bitten the bullet and am in the process of moving out. I figured that the extra expense extortion of living on my own will be worth it because I will actually be able to focus on my business and not have to spend the majority of my time fielding other people's issues. Can't frocking wait. Thanks. Glad to hear it looks better. I see you're in London too. What part? What rent amount are you looking to pay? I feel like being sick when looking at how little I can afford here. I'm in the outskirts in Surbiton. It's not really any cheaper but it's less busy than Central, which is a plus. The average rent is around £1,000 a month for a one-bed flat. It is expensive, but I'm at the stage where I need to do it. For my own sanity more than anything. As much as I love them, living with my family is ruining my productivity. Whereabouts in London are you based? Oh nice. That's near Kingston, I went to school around there. I'm even further in the outskirts, around Hillingdon. Flats are the same price, and this isn't even a nice one bed. I actually found some very neat flats near Ealing, tiny but perfect, but then found out they were only for students. I love my folks too, and there are moments where I think they're not so bad. I could spend longer here but then they start shouting for the 50th time that day, or just hit me with the negativity as soon as they see me and it's clear I need to go. I've even been debating moving to a cheaper country until I make it. But the hassle of moving and having to rearrange my entire life might suck all the productive energy out of me and make matters worse. You know what's funny about London? From time to time I go on property websites and crank up the budget to £10, £20k a month just to dream about the future lol. And even the flats at that high price aren't nice. I mean they look good on the inside but when you look at the surrounding area, the view, or just the whole thing in general, it's terrible. London is truly not a place to live. Why not moving to a cheaper city in the UK? That's still moving, which is a pain. But at least you are not moving countries. There are medium-sized cities, like Bristol, where the cost of renting is about half compared to London, and they are still cities with things to do. Yeah, it's just round the corner from Kingston, so is in a pretty good location. I'm not a massive fan of London either. It's just too busy all the time. The best thing to do is just keep looking every day and then move quickly when you do find something you like. I ended up using a company called Open Rent. They're really good as there are no estate agent fees. Living on my own will leave me with minimal funds, but I know that I will be able to earn a whole lot more if I'm living in a stress-free house. I had the whole I'm leaving England debate a couple of years back and decided against it at the time. I was looking at moving to the Netherlands, ended up not doing it in the end due to a few different reasons. Ultimately, I think it was probably just too big of a step at the time. I wasn't really ready for it. Also, someone mentioned Bristol. While it is a really cool city with loads of good music or places to go out, the prices there aren't much different to London or Brighton. And personally, I think I'm past the days of partying until 4 AM and getting wasted on scrumpy ha. I think if you put your head down and work relentlessly, the focus and work you'll be able to get done on your own will be worth it. Do you work full-time or in an office or job? Remote? The Netherlands is just as expensive as London though, right? Funnily enough, I'm in Bristol right now on a trip. Lovely place, but I think I'd rather move somewhere closer to home. That way I'm still familiar with my surroundings and it's not a complete shock, but I get the privacy I want. Just read this thread. It is absolutely fire. Thanks so much for documenting the journey, and you sound like you are so laser focused and ready for success. Good luck, my man. Yeah, it's just as expensive, haha. It's a really cool county though, and I do have some friends that live out there, so it wouldn't have been so bad. At the moment I have a part-time office job that I work 3 days a week, doing digital marketing or web design or SEO, etc. Though it's not far to travel there and I can work from home at least 1 day a week. Then I spend one of the other days freelancing for another company in Brighton doing the same thing but for way more money. Then the other day I try and work on my own thing, which is easier said than done in my current house. I'm not quite where I want to be just yet. My plan is obviously to replace my 3-day-a-week job with a combination of more freelance consulting and then eventually my other project. I think you might have missed 2 letters. I mean rent prices, which last time I checked around 2 to 3 years ago were about 40% lower than in London. But maybe that's changed recently? I agree that beers can be expensive, haha, and food even a bit more expensive, as distribution costs are probably higher than in the capital. Bristol was just an example as I know it better than other cities apart from London, but any safe place close to London but cheaper could suit you. Thanks. I am focused on making this app succeed. I've had some fleeting ideas for new apps, but I've stayed loyal to this one because it has the most potential. I sometimes feel down that I haven't made much money yet, but to think that last year exactly at this time I was jotting down ideas for businesses, halfway through. Pretty much any place is cheaper to rent than London. Though for everything else I find it's quite affordable unless you're in the city centre. Decided to quit my job by mid-December. It's an easy job and I make good money for the amount of work I do, but it leaves me too tired and stressed to work on my app. I'm risking a lot, but I can't continue like this. I don't give a shit about my boss's business and they're dropping people like flies anyway. Let's see if I actually do it. Made some major updates to my app recently, going to be refining my ads today and tomorrow so I can get sales increasing again. Past few months have been terrible for me. My mental health is so bad it's scary. I've been unproductive as FCK. I'm already depressed and lonely, and the bad weather is making it worse. God damn it, this is hell. Not sure if it will help you, but try to recall something positive about your app. Maybe like your first sub or the moment you were most proud of. Also make a break from developing. Go to movie or coffee house to do something unrelated to your biz. Watch people walking by, without any purpose. You do window shopping. Best wishes to you on your path. Have you any feedback loops to keep your spirits up? Subscribers? Customers? Positive feedback about how you've helped someone. Occasionally some money comes in when a user's trial ends, and that makes me happy, but it's not the app that's making me depressed. It's just other things in my life that are affecting my productivity. Making some money with the app, but it's either a few dollars below how much I'm spending on advertising, so no profit, or it equals the amount I spend. A bit demotivating. It's difficult to make effective FB ads because FB doesn't like you sounding too personal in your ads, so users don't feel like we're directly targeting them, especially with sensitive topics like mental health. All my ads with words like mental health, stress, or you are immediately disapproved. I know that with the right advertising I can make this successful, but with my small budget and experience, it's difficult. In the meanwhile, I've almost completed another app. It took me maybe 2 weeks and it'll be easy to market. I think it'll be quite a fast process churning through apps like this. If I spend a month on an app creating, advertising until something works, then that'll be good. I just want to work. I hate working hard and getting nothing. Are you doing any other form of marketing other than paid ads? It might be worth doing some content marketing on your app's website to try and drive some extra visitors to it that way. You need to try and make your brand an authority on mental health or anxiety. If you create enough good content, then you can use this content to push people to your app. It'll give you some good SEO benefits as well, and it'll mean you don't have to pay so much in ad costs to get people to your app. I'm cross-promoting my apps, so every app links to my other ones. I used to promote my app on Reddit through messaging people, reaching out on Twitter, and so on. But I found that FB ads gave the most amount of users, and were the best use of my time. I'm still unsure on content marketing. It seems to take too much time for too little results. The hours I spend writing content could be spent improving my ads or making other apps. Realized I need to start accepting more help for my app. I've made significant improvements in UI and features. I've learned about marketing and other non-dev aspects in this field. But I'm not an expert, and I know that I am blowing money that I shouldn't be when I attempt to do things by myself, and even worse, time. I have enough money saved up to spend on professionals. There's no use just letting it sit there. If my attempts on marketing or promo videos or whatever look half-assed, it doesn't matter if I full-assed them. So my goals this week and moving forward will be spending time on things I'm best at, and delegating the things I need help with. I've decided to pay an agency to check my code for any issues and refactor it. As I have little iOS dev experience, I know my code is quite bad in places and I'm having nightmares of my app breaking or the database fking up. I need peace of mind. If my goal really is millions of users, the app needs to be stable and not keep me awake from fear. How is the second app going? It's getting a few downloads a day and occasionally a subscription. I'm satisfied with it given that I do no marketing except for linking to it from my main update, since it's been several months. I set myself a goal of making around £20,000 per month by July. I'm well below that, but I kind of still believe I can hit that. Whether it's through apps or landing more design contracts. Congratulations for doing well. £20,000 per month would be really awesome. As per the design agency, if you don't like your job and are good at sales, and also have some revenue to cover your expenses, I'd say maybe yes. Starting on the side until you can't cope with all the work plus your day job and then resigning? Also, do you mean design for mobile apps, or web design? In any case, it's as Fastlane as you want it to be. You can always work on setting it on autopilot and you can scale it from there without much supervision. The downside is that it needs to rely on hires. In case you don't like that. Do you track your time? How many hours per app do you reckon you have spent? As your revenue model is subscription, do you generate content constantly, or is it just subscription to keep using the app? Did you rely on organic downloads at the beginning, or did you use paid marketing to start with? Thanks. And I'm not too good with sales, but I've been very successful with app work. I think I can build up online design profiles like Dribble to the point where work will come in. I've also found someone who can write me a good business plan which will help. I don't want it to become like back in 2017 when I failed running a web dev agency. Mobile apps, on Upwork. Both, but I want this agency to be just mobile apps. I found that there are none or next to none agencies that focus specifically on apps, or on only app design rather than the full design plus I could be the go-to agency for that. Having to rely on hires is my biggest doubt. I don't want to rely on anyone or turn into a manager. But it absolutely is better than a day job, and well, I could do it until my apps overtook its profit. First app, a ton. It took me probably 8 months to launch. No idea how many hours, but I worked on it daily. Second, about 2 months. Third, a month. Very fast because now I have a template and process. It's just a subscription to keep using the app. That's interesting. It's true that there aren't many pure mobile apps design agencies. Most agencies have in-house design, but there might be a niche there for you. What would be your ideal customer? I can think of small teams of developers trying to build an app with zero design skills, but maybe there are other types of customer. That's very interesting indeed. One thing that puts me off of mobile apps is that their perceived value seems to be much lower compared to SaaS apps. And there is also the problem with user retention. I read that here, but you've probed that it's perfectly posable, and providing a subscription model helps mitigating these problems. Yes, perhaps an indie dev looking for an app design. On Upwork I've had people ask me for dev agencies once the design is complete. So many people view it as a separate process. Though I need to think about my ideal customer some more. The thing is, with mobile apps there's a formula that all the big apps have discovered. You ask for a trial sign up immediately on first app open, and get them to subscribe yearly. There's $30, $80 outright after the trial. Many forget to cancel. It's something no one wants to talk about, but is a huge bulk of app earnings. If you have a steady stream of users, a certain percent will start the trial, and percent of those will not cancel. It's why you'll see mobile apps have mostly yearly subscriptions. You don't have to worry about monthly subscription retention, or any complicated calculations. Mobile apps are also much easier to get users for, because they're on the App Store, a trusted platform. Paying is as quick as a fingerprint or face scan, and everyone trusts Apple. Facebook and other platforms directly link up to the App Store. Who trusts a new SaaS app, where payment involves entering credit card info or opening a new PayPal window? It's much harder. Though a downside is you rely on the App Store. That was my first thought, and made me wonder whether indie devs will have good money to spend on design. But you know better about this, as you've already had some clients. Those are definitely valid points. Paying through the store is great and convenient. Never considered users that sign up and forget to cancel, though even given I do forget to cancel things like Amazon Prime, lol, but it seems like it works as long as the number of users is good. I guess as long as the value offered is good and the user is notified about the purchase and can cancel it within a few days. Doesn't sound too bad. I might need to reconsider mobile apps. The user is notified on purchase, and that's it. Apple doesn't make you notify them. They don't need to take any action to carry on being subscribed. It's kind of unethical, but Apple allow it because it also means more revenue for them. This is also why you'll see some apps charging $8+ a week. It adds up to a huge amount per year and people just forget about it. Seriously debating quitting my job sometime next week. I'm getting quite a lot of freelance gigs and I want to spend more time on my apps. However, I'm afraid that I'm just getting a lot of work now and next month I won't be able to find anything. It's a huge ass risk. But my job is doing my f-king head in. Holy shit. The work is mind-numbing. They're lumping all the boring tasks onto me, and the pay is pathetic. I have a buffer of money. I can try. The one thing stopping me is that this is probably the best 9 to 5 I'll ever have because the company culture is great. They take us to different countries, and we work from home. It's just too much for me. Even if it's a great 9 to 5, it's still a 9 to 5. Don't know what I'll end up doing. Woke up today much calmer and with a sense of relief I never felt in my life. That if I lose my job I'll be fine. In fact, I think I quit. I can't half-ass this. Updates. God, I'm so happy I read MJ's books. If I hadn't I'd still be trying random things like the stock market and being generally directionless. Mark notable. Well done on your progress. Loved your last post about how calm you now are. This happens when you gain control of your own steering wheel and confidence in yourself. Thanks, Sandy. Yep, today certainly feels like a step up. Last week was insane and it's when I finally saw the fruits of my labor. I don't think I've ever been so stressed. But today is when it all settled into my mind and became my reality. Set a deadline to quit my job by Friday. I wanted to do it a bit later, but I have quite a nice buffer of money saved and of course, income from freelancing. I'm done with web development anyway, so there's no use staying. If I ever have to get another job it will be design-based. Please hype me up to quit. I've made my decision, but I'm just terrified not of what comes after, just the process of quitting. Don't worry. Everything would be fine. I'm leaving on Friday too. But in 2 weeks and I don't have income from freelancing. Was a little frightened too, mainly because we have only one midterm project and pretty much no proven plan on what to do next. But the services or freelancing are easy, so both of us won't starve at least. Lol. Think of the positive sides. Of the limits of your job, of how many people you can help with your app, of how you probably hate your job or boss or client or manager or insert something you hate here, etc. The sky is the limit, just keep grinding. Hey, thanks. I keep thinking of the freedom of being able to wake up early because I want to, not because I have to, going to the gym when it's empty, working on my apps all day. Funny thing happened yesterday. I know how much I make per month from my 9 to 5. But I always mistakenly had a higher figure in my head. I looked at it yesterday and lolled at how low it is, given how much stress it causes me to work at that place. Anyway, good luck with your quitting, and your business too. Do you have a progress thread? There's a beautiful contrast between your posts when you started out and your posts now, a real testament to the hard work and time you've put into this. I just thought I'd point it out. Yes. I had to read through the entire thread yesterday and felt such happiness to see that despite how much doubt I had, and how little experience in app development and running a company, I got results. Being able to quit my job, not because I'm sick of it but because I actually can and because I've started making money myself. It's a weird, surreal feeling. I still haven't made it yet, and I'm not totally secure, but I believe I'm well on my way to success. Thanks to everyone here. This place has changed my life. If you can sustain yourself with the revenue from your apps and also have money saved, do it. You'll have more time and energy to focus on your stuff. You are in London. It would take you just a few weeks to get another job should you need it. I just quit. Was going to ask you about landing pages, but you described here most of what I wanted to figure out. There is one other thing though. At the beginning, you just started testing landing pages and didn't have mock-ups. Is that correct? My question is, how do you approach the landing page's content to validate an idea? I always thought that you need great-looking mock-ups and graphics, apart from describing with words what your product will do, but from what I got from your comments, you made the mock-ups after the landing page for your mental health app. I will research more on this landing pages to validate ideas on my own, but wanted to know your opinion, as it clearly worked. More details please. How did you do it? How did they take it? When is your last day? How did you feel the moment you handed in your resignation? Though now I would do it differently. I would create some mocks in Sketch and make it look like the app has already been developed. Back then, I had no design skill, so I only used random images I found. The landing page could have been much better. Definitely create a few fake app screenshots and place them in the header. People want to see what they're getting. My landing pages weren't that good, but I went off the one page that worked better than the rest. Haha, I wanted to do it Friday today, but I thought, damn, if I wait longer I have to stay longer. So I set a deadline, sent the boss a message and had the call. It was like ripping off a band-aid. I feel sad because they treated me really well the whole time I've been there. If I were of the non-entrepreneur mindset, I would have worked there all my life. They took it well. No hard feelings. No bridges burned, and I'm welcome to come back if I ever need to. I feel free. My last day is in 2 weeks. Kinda scared. I was starting to feel nostalgic for the days I had more pressure because of being unemployed. I need the job insecurity to light a fire under my ass to do something and make more money. I can picture it. Good that no bridges are burned. Life's too short for that. CR@P. Apologies if you've already mentioned it, but have you quit to go full-time on your business? Is it able to sustain you from the monthly revenue, or have you runway saved? Yep. It's a mix of both. I have a lot of runway saved as I live almost rent-free with my parents. I can't sustain myself from my apps as they're starting to make more money and I spend a lot on marketing, but my freelancing is taking off. In the past 2 weeks I was able to make 4x what I make in a month at my job. So I'll be freelancing while working on my apps and using that money to experiment and grow them. I'm also going to try to transition to running a design agency rather than working as a freelancer. That was my impression. Great screenshots, even if they are fake, make a big difference. I've committed to not start any prototypes until I've made a landing page and measured interest. Hard, being a programming freak, but that's the way to go. Completely understand. I used to open empty files on Versus Code with zero direction and just hope to create something good out of them. Now my guilty pleasure is designing random apps without any future plans for them. Actually, my most successful app came out of one of those designs. I thought it looked too good to just sit there as a design. So actually designing apps is part of your brainstorming process. That's amazing, and already gave you results with a successful app. Now that you mention, how long did it take you to become a designer? I know it's been round 6 months, my bad. It's been 18 months since you got started this thread. But did you have previous experience? Yep. When I started my first app, I only started designing after I had decided 100% to build it. I started designing seriously around 3 months ago. I've always been good at design. Even when applying for programming jobs I was employed because my design was good. On top of programming, I'm kind of a mediocre programmer honestly. When people started commenting on my design rather than anything else, whatever project I was working on, I decided to take it more seriously. And ever since I started freelancing I've been really into it. If you want to get into design, I suggest 3 things: 1. Get Sketch. 2. Start the 100-day UI challenge. Google it, and Google each day's challenge so you can do multiple designs a day. 3. Look at Dribble for inspiration, copy what you like. Eventually you'll develop a style. God. Design is so much easier than software dev. I can create anything and let the developers worry about how to implement it. So you were already good at design long time ago. That explains why it took you short to get seriously into it. I'll have a look at that, thanks. I've never been into serious design. Just did some flat icons a few weeks ago and I really enjoyed it once I sort of understood how Inkscape works. But hey, it can be something to learn on the side, and it's useful. It depends on how your brain is wired up and what you like, which makes you spend more time, gain more experience, and magic happens. You get good at it. I find programming much easier than design, but probably because I've spent insane amount of time on it. I mainly design interfaces rather than icons. If I need icons I'll use Flaticon, and edit the SVG they provide if I need more customization. Though it would be nice to get into icons and illustration. True. For me, programming feels like bashing my head against a brick wall. I've been doing it for 3 years and I swear I am still a junior dev. I really dislike it though. That may just be JavaScript. I quite enjoy programming in Swift. What language do you mainly work with? But I think no matter your skill, at least a bit of programming knowledge is insanely useful. I can't imagine having to spend tens of thousands hiring someone to develop my app, and then keep paying for every update. Yeah, icons are just a small thing compared to designing a whole application. which is way more difficult. Funnily, I tried Flaticon and just ended up making my own icons. There was no way I could find icons that were consistent between them at all. I agree that being able to code is a huge advantage. I often see people recommending to outsource an MVP, when in reality a good or well-built MVP can be expensive, and it would put many people off. I used JavaScript in my last job, although I learned a bit of a bunch of others. I use Python occasionally, and C# and Lua for video games. Even learned some Swift when it was announced and not even v1.0. I use or learn any new programming language as I need it. Really, under each pack you'll get other icon packs of the same theme. I usually use that method to make sure they all look consistent, or I try to find similar icons. They've added a lot of icons recently. There's also FreePic parent company which has more vectors and photos. I use those for more detailed backgrounds. Oh yeah. You either pay a ton or pay a little for poor quality. I made that mistake for one of my shelved ventures. A good middle ground is using Eastern European dev agencies. I did for my app refactor and the quality of work is awesome. Doing it yourself is the best time, but some people don't want to spend months learning. I used mostly JS or React in my job. I hate it lol. Can't believe it was my career for 3 years. The devs at my job are crazy for Ruby or Rails. Thanks for FreePic, they've got nice photos indeed. It's a matter of taste. I've seen the other way around, people hating Rails. But you'll find zealots for every tech stack. I've been free from work for a few weeks now, officially since Monday. I'm really happy, even though I have no idea if I'll make enough money from my business consistently. Strange how I'm at my happiest when I have the least job security. I've joined a new gym. Finally don't feel tired anymore. Slept like a baby for the first few days before I got all my energy back, and am focusing on my business. Been having mini panic attacks daily lately. Revenue is down this month and it just hit me how I don't have a steady paycheck like at my day job. Some months I may make a lot of money, other months zero. I have some runway, but just seeing my savings go down and knowing that if I fail I need to go back to a job. I hate this feeling. I don't know how to cope with it. There's always other jobs, there's always freelance or contracting work. The worst case scenario is you get more work. Nothing to panic about. I'd assume worrying is natural given the big change. If you can, embrace it and use it as fuel to work harder and smarter. This was only last week. You're doing the right thing. Freelancing is what I'm relying on until my app takes over. It's just that last month I had an angel of a client and made a lot more money than I normally can. I go through periods of being happy and free, and panicking. I guess this will be my norm for now. Any news? How's the last month been? I didn't read through the entire thread, but do you have an idea on why the big swings or fluctuations in sales? How are you currently marketing the program? Not bad. Sales for the app are around $1,200 per month, but I spend most of it on marketing. Less freelance work than usual, but should have more jobs soon. Yeah, because sometimes the app is featured and gets a huge influx of users, then it evens out. In terms of marketing, I'm focusing on SEO, Apple search ads and occasional posting on websites like Reddit. Thread. What kind of metric do you use to decide how much of the earnings are reinvested on marketing? From what I see, your earnings are almost directly proportional to the amount invested on marketing. If so, how do you plan on improving this situation? Thanks for sharing your journey. I spend around $800 on the marketing agency SEO, analysis of how the app is performing, and $300-ish on Apple search ads. The marketing agency has improved my conversion rate hugely, and frequent SEO updates really help with the ranking. Profit is increasing slowly. This is helped quite a bit when the app is featured. My plans are to continue working with the agency to increase conversion rate, experiment with pricing, and just keep improving the app. I feel like every week is different from the previous. Sometimes I'll have an amazing week, Sometimes it'll be trash. This week is one of those trash weeks. All my freelance clients are unresponsive and annoying. To top it off, Upwork has lowered my rating because a client didn't leave a review, and no review means 0 star. So now no matter how good my work is, no one will know because they just won't bother reading my proposal due to the bad rating. What was previously a great tool to find work is now horrible. My app sometimes does well, sometimes not at all. Profit increased this week, but almost all of it goes towards marketing, so I can't celebrate yet. Unfortunately, downloads are dropping. I'm just praying for it to be featured soon again, since that happens quite often. I hate this. I hate how I can be trying my best and nothing will happen when there's just no sign of success, and I have to worry about my money slowly draining, and there's nothing I can do any more than what I'm currently doing except pray. Lol. Well, what then? Can you contact that client and ask him to leave you a review? What can you do in the future that would help prevent clients from not leaving reviews? Could you briefly explain to them how important reviews are to your continued success to get them to agree to leave you a review once the service has been completed? Have you done anything to reach out to prospects outside of Upwork? You said you occasionally post on Reddit. What does that even mean? Have you taken the time to develop a comprehensive marketing action plan that you apply to Reddit? You said you also market via the App Store. Ponder this: if you were a fisherman who relied on fish to eat and live, how many fishing poles would you put in the water? 1? 2? 3? Every single one you could find? Would you spend your time away from fishing to find, buy, and build more fishing poles? Probably. Right now you have 2 poles in the water. Go add more. Where do your potential customers hang out at online? What Facebook pages do they like? What YouTube channels do they watch? Who do they follow on Twitter and IG? What blogs and websites do they visit? Who likely has them on an email list, and who owns that email list? What other apps are they downloading and using? Etc. Find a way to be visible in all of those places. Place ads. Make deals with influencers. Reach out and connect with people. Put more poles in the water. Upwork doesn't let you change feedback once the job is complete, unfortunately. I now ask all my clients to leave a review. I think my only option going forward is to complete more jobs so their rating rises. I've listed my business on several directories. I even have a sponsorship for one of them, which is quite a small investment. I've had 2 leads contact me so far, but they go silent. Updated my website yesterday with more examples of my work, and that should help improve my ranking and hopefully bring new leads. Other than that, just applying to more Upwork jobs and hoping that one works out. I posted my app to subreddits like or side project or design_critique. These type of subreddits you can only really use once unless you have a big app update. I find Reddit really hates when you post about your project and it looks like the initial few posts led to a nice boost for 2 or 3 days though. I contacted maybe 100 influencers a few weeks ago and only a few replied. I'm having a difficult time finding places to post about the app where I won't look spammy, but the results will lead to a relevant increase in users rather than just a few after days of hard work. Decided to stop being a little bitch and start taking action again. I didn't coincidentally make $15,000 in May. I have maybe 6 months runway. How did last week? Is the app a one-time fee? Can you add a recurring payment for some sort of additional service? Are you able to contact or send notifications to prior users? Is there an additional feature you can add that people would pay for? It's a subscription app. Payment is either weekly or yearly. I can't send them emails as it doesn't require email login, but I can send notifications. I'm working on creating more monetizable features. If it's subscription, why is your monthly income so varied? I think you said one month you got $15,000 and another $12K, and some months nothing. How long is the average subscription length? I make around $1,500 from the app a month. The rest is from freelancing. Most common subduration is yearly. Do you know why people stop using it? Is there a high percentage of users that stop using it after 1 to 3 months? Great work. What's your churn rate for the app? Usually with apps lots of people subscribe the first time they open it. Due to that, subscribe to access more pop-up. Some cancel, some remain. Some subscribe later on. I don't know about churn rate. App Store's analytics don't measure uninstalls. Though I did implement Firebase recently to get more data in a few weeks. My Upwork score is now 100% again. So I'm sure I can get more jobs from there now if I ever need them. No one will hire someone with 75%, or even 80%. I don't even look at people who have less than 95% for my own projects. But 100% is perfect. Just have to keep it there. Released an update for the app. Downloads rose again yesterday. I'm praying for a to-date tab feature, because the first feature brought downloads up from 4 a day to 200, for months. This one could fling it into the 500s and beyond. So, my app was finally featured on the to-date tab as app of the day yesterday. Should have got around 5-10k downloads, and hopefully it'll skyrocket my daily downloads for a few months, like the first feature did. I'm happy, because this is big recognition from Apple that my app is good. That's awesome to hear. I hope you will find a great success with this. Been following your thread for a while. I love when these kind of things start to happen. It's usually a good indicator that you might be moving the right direction. Good luck onwards. Looking forward to see further progress. Thank you. It was a great feeling. I find it funny how these things happen in waves. I get a load of success and then crickets and hay barrels, haha. I've reached a point where I might need to start outsourcing the design work for my design agency, as I'm getting quite a few projects. However, I have no idea where to start. The way I design things is very much my own style and I need it to be absolutely perfect. I'm not sure I could find someone on Upwork like that. And if I did, they'd cost as much or close to what I'd be charging the client, leaving little profit. If anyone has any outsourcing experience, or has even outsourced design work, I'd love some tips. Glad to hear that things are going well. As for outsourcing, if you really have a unique way of designing, you'll probably need to train someone, even if that person is great, as they'll have their own way. But I haven't outsourced yet, so take it as a grain of salt. In any case, the fact that you need to outsource, even if that portion of your business has less profit, is a good sign. Better a small profit than losing the client because you can't fit it. I got inspired by you, so I'm making an Android mobile app that I had in mind for months. I've actually spent the past week posting job ads around Upwork and other platforms and selecting freelancers. I thought it would be difficult to find competent people, but some are actually brilliant designers. Part of it is because I'm willing to pay high rates. Created a whole onboarding and project assignment process and I think this can work well. The plan is onboard 5 to 10 freelancers, categorize them based on skills, have them in my database and Slack channel ready to be assigned projects when a new project comes in, pick best freelancer from available on as I guess I'm moving from the designer role to the manager one. Awesome. Glad I inspired you. What type of app will it be? Sounds like you didn't even need someone to give you ideas. Your plan sounds superb. I hope you'll be lucky and get great professionals to help you grow. Having an onboarding process should be enough for self-driven people to do the work you want in the way you want. It's a lifestyle or personal growth app. It's more for myself at the moment, as I'm using different tools to track all of this and thought it'd be nice to have mainly to get this project out of my head, as I wanted to make it for months but was into other things. Who knows if it will get some users when I publish it and can spend proper time on it as a business. Actually, I should be focusing on iOS if money were the main motivator. Android is not great for this. I'm making it in Flutter though, so porting should be relatively quick if the Android one gets users. Talking about that, my original plan was to release it for free once I'm happy with it, and wait to see if I can get users before I work on the premium version, which requires more time, a database, etc. But having read your approach of forcing people to sign up for the trial and cancel afterwards, sounds very different and possibly better. I'd appreciate your thoughts on this. I've read your thread twice, end to end, but I'll do again once I finish the MVP. There's so much useful information in here. Thanks, that's cool. All my apps are based on something I needed. You'll find when it's released you'll be adding features and guiding it in different directions based on user feedback. Make sure to include a lot of feedback buttons for this reason. As for Android, I've heard of the argument for building on Android first, as you can push out updates without a review period and can iterate quicker. Then when a better product, you can release for iOS. I'd strongly suggest monetizing from the beginning. It's difficult to get users to pay for something that was once free. Much easier to have a paid option from the start. I've experimented with pricing and features a lot, so you'll have opportunities to modify your premium offering while the app is live. For mobile, since subscribing is so easy, just a tap. The free trial screen is a great idea. With websites, you have to get your card out, type stuff, etc. Best of luck. That's the thing. I'm not great at finding needs for other users, so I end up making stuff I'd like to use, which is another way of spotting needs, and then listen to users from there. That's interesting, didn't think the initial review for Android apps is also a bit of pain, but then it's straightforward to push updates. Tried with a mobile game, and it was like this. I meant more that iOS users pay more in average. But this strategy of Android first makes a lot of sense before investing into iOS. Good point. Just see how WhatsApp Android users were enraged when they had to pay $1 to use their WhatsApp app while waiting for their $15 order in the restaurant. Ridiculous, but real. I'll do that. It will take longer, but it's worth setting up Firebase or whatever people use these days. I'm isolating business logic and data fetching from the UI. So adding data on the cloud after I've got an offline prototype won't be a lot of rework. Thanks for your tips, and best of luck for you to keep us posted. I'm really excited to see your progress. Finished interviewing freelancers and now I have a team. Everyone keep your fingers crossed I can close a big deal this week. Unrelated. I'm currently abroad and decided to book myself a luxury hotel for the last 2 days. They upgraded me and now I'm in some huge apartment being treated like royalty. This motivates me even more to get rich. I can't just have a taste and leave it. Now is a good time to network. When I was young and couldn't afford to stay in those super luxury hotels, I would still suit up and go enjoy a drink at the bar. I made a lot of connections back then that I leveraged into money. This might be a noob question, but how do you decide what goes into the free version and what goes into the subscription one? I'm really struggling to decide what to put into the first version of my app. On one side, I've got grand plans for the app actually. The ideal version looks like 3 apps in one, which is basically mental-induced pleasure until I launch an MVP and get users, so I'm aware of keeping it minimal and avoid feature creep. On the other side, I'm reviewing the list of MVP features and the subscription-based version includes very little in addition to the free one. So I'm starting to fear that either I jumped into building the app straight away without validating with users, as it's an app I haven't found out there and I need it for myself, and I can code an MVP pretty fast, but I'm starting to regret not having used the sketch plus landing pages plus marketing combo to get a feeling first. I first posted asking if any money was made because I went from page 1 to present, but I had to go back and saw yes. I am loving to learn about the app's journey. I have been more content focused. Perhaps there is a way to merge them as well. Today is the first time my app made $3,000 in a month. Last month, it was $2,000. My app is being featured frequently, so I see big jumps in downloads. If anyone has an app, I highly recommend to submit the App Store promote form daily. Get your app in the App Store managers' minds. If they don't feature it in the US or UK, they'll feature it in smaller countries, which will still give it a boost in downloads. Sorry I didn't see this earlier. Definitely start off with a version that has a premium version, so rule out option 3. If you can't think of extra or special features to make paid, take a free feature that you have and offer paying users more of it. A free app offers 2 free songs per day. The paid version offers unlimited. A free app lets you create 10 notes per day. The paid version offers unlimited. Etc. You can offer ability to backup or save data, more profile customization options, and so on. If you tell me the app goal or niche, I can offer more suggestions. I'm sure you'll think of something if you haven't already. Glad to hear that your app's doing better and better. 3K is already interesting money. I hope that's removed some of your anxiety. Thanks a lot. I get the point. I actually had in mind backups, more app themes, etc. It's just that in my mind I don't see how people would pay for that, even if it's just a few pounds or month to start with, but again, that might be my assumption and I should test it. I also thought about limiting content, as you said, create 10 notes or day or unlimited if you pay, but it felt a bit too constraining. I've seen people complaining about this on other apps' reviews, although there's always someone who complains no matter what. The app is in the personal growth niche. One of the features is goals setting and accomplishment, and I was thinking to make it free but then add statistics on the paid one. I'm not sure if I'll end up making 2 apps in one though, violating the MVP rule. We'll see. I posted on another thread that I researched similar apps on Google Play or App Store. For good or bad, I found 2 big categories. I actually stopped making the app when I had it mostly functioning with ugly design. Then, fired up Adobe XD to make some real designs. Then I thought I should create a landing page before implementing the designs on the app. Both things are taking me weeks, which means I'm either slow or doing too much. A nice landing page with close to final screenshots or designs takes time to build. I wonder if I could live with something leaner to start with. Also, I realized the damn GDPR requires privacy policy and other stuff for European users who give you their data, which sounds extremely inconvenient given that I just want to validate the idea before I finish building it, or move on. If I have to do this for every idea to avoid the unlikely chance of getting in trouble, it's going to take ages before I get a good one validated. Yes, a bit, though reaching a new milestone is stressful because you're worried you'll make less the following month. I took away the free access to my app. Users can download it for free, but the subscription screen blocks them from viewing anything unless they subscribe. Yes, people complain, but how else are you gonna make money? Don't worry about people complaining. I think I'd recommend to make your app freemium, offer a free version and free trial at first, in order to have more users giving you feedback. Then once you build up the app even more through user feedback, make it necessary to pay to access. Man, just launch the thing. Doesn't matter if it's ugly, launch it ugly, then with every update make it prettier. Screw landing pages, you don't really need them. My one doesn't have a landing page. Honestly, just drop it and launch the app. As feedback rolls in, you'll know what needs to be improved when. Also, what are some of those personal development apps? You can check using Sensor Tower if they're making enough money. You can also see if they've got any ads running. Useful if you want to see if their traffic is organic. Use and select the GDPR included option. It's what I did and it's good enough. Launch. Remember reading your thread a long time ago. Look where you are now. Amazing work. Keep going. I posted a question in January 2018, so it was nearly 2 years ago. Very inspiring, man. I understand that. But I'd look at annual revenues, otherwise the lower months will make you feel bad for no reason. That's interesting. It sounds like a recipe for getting a bunch of 1 stars from the free users, but you've done it yourself, so there's proof that it works. Sounds like a bold move though. That's very interesting. I'm pretty sure you used landing pages in the past, at least for validating the idea before making the app. Not sure whether you used them later for marketing. I can't remember. What's changed since for you to recommend skipping them? In my mind, getting an idea about people's interests is useful, given how long it takes to make an app. In which case, I guess you now just focus on SEO and marketing with maybe something like Facebook ads. Is that correct? I tried this approach before. Created a game and put it on the store, and that was it. 5 to 10 downloads, around 40 according to Unity Analytics. Although I didn't market it, but not sure it would have made a difference given the low organic downloads. I guess my ASO wasn't good anyway. I think being back in London gives me too much time to read during commutes, and got convinced that landing pages or even running some keyword research is better than building the app to start for games and other app ideas. I tend to just go to some niche with apps with a good amount of downloads, look at the comments or complaints and figure out if I can do better, then make the app or move on. One of them is called Remonti. That's the one with more downloads and more similar to what I want to do, although not quite really. I tried Sensor Tower and they apparently make $7,000 Android and $10,000 iOS. Is that per month? Not sure how reliable that data is though, no idea how they calculate it. Anyway, it must be close to the real revenue. Oh god, that's so helpful. Thanks. Okay, I think you are convincing me to go ahead and finish the app, skipping the pre-marketing. But I think for the next one I'd have to take a leaner approach and release an ugly app, or not that ugly, as material design gives you the tools to release something good without much extra effort, on Android instead of going for a custom almost brand design as I've done now. The bad reviews are typically from users who don't know how to cancel a subscription and think it's your fault they can't Google lol. You'll get that from any type of monetization. Yeah, I used them to validate an idea, or rather, pick between three. My landing pages weren't too good though, and turns out the app that took off the most performed the worst during that landing page phase. I don't suggest you use them for apps because any ads you use should drive traffic directly to your app's iTunes page rather than a landing page. And no one actually views your app's landing page if they've already downloaded your app. Just ASO and Apple search ads. Basic. ASO is tough to get going these days. Only recently did mine improve enough to give me significant downloads. The reason my app took off was because it was featured on launch, which skyrocketed the downloads, and they've stayed there due to continuous features. Otherwise, before the features it was getting 4-ish downloads a day. What's most annoying is Apple used to have a top grossing section, next to top free and top paid. They took it out when iOS 11 launched. My app is constantly top 10 on top grossing. The stats are still available, they just don't show it on the App Store. I get mad that I would probably be rich if that section still existed. They take subscription stats from the App Store, they don't factor in any in-app ads. They also show the amount earned after Apple's 30% cut. It's pretty accurate. Okay, I am convinced. I'll use the App Store search plus user complaints plus Sensor Tower plus ship quick and iterate combo, to see if I can get something valuable that has a chance to make good revenue. Thanks so much again for your advice. Have you considered porting it to Android? They still have that section. The revenue might be lower than on iOS, but you might get a good surprise if you get on that page. Awesome. I hope it brings you a lot of success. Interesting. I don't know how their top grossing algorithm works though, it might be different. I definitely want to release it for Android too. It'll just take a huge amount of time for me to program. Almost got pressured by my parents into wasting my money for a mortgage. I was excited to get out of their house because they create a horrible atmosphere, but I realized I'd have no money left, and I'd owe my parents a lot. I don't like owing people things, especially people who'd use it against me in every conversation. I will buy a house when I can buy it in cash. Thinking of just F-ing off to a cheap country for 2 weeks while my dad is at home so I can avoid the constant fighting and pessimism. He was at home 24/7 for 2 months and I'm 99% sure I had a mental breakdown from the stress. I know I'm not supposed to blame my parents for my downfalls, but there's only so much you can take or say anyway. My app is doing awesome, about to roll out a huge update. My agency is also doing really good. Got a mentor recently and it's been a huge help. Are you me? This was me 1 year ago. I have the exact same attitude as you. Parents applying a lot of pressure to get a mortgage, when I don't even know where I would live. Living with them is a cesspool of negativity. Honestly man, just move the FCK out if you can afford it. It's worth it for the mental free space you'll gain. If not renting, you could look at renting a room. Can get a bedroom with bills plus council tax included for £300 a month. And let's be honest, Maybe your parents want you to move out. You are an adult now, should be paying for yourself. Your parents raised you for 20 years, maybe they want some privacy back too. Nice thread, will be following. How do you plan to scale? I have a long list of features to implement. I recently rolled an updated that fleshed out the app enough to compete with the big ones making hundreds of thousands a month. I'm also getting more recognition from Apple, who invited me to their HQ recently. With all these updates and frequent features, the profit and user base is growing nicely. A potential option for the future is to develop the product for desktop, Apple Watch, etc. Can't afford it right now. TBH, I'd rather take their BS than share a place with a random person. I'm an extreme introvert and like my privacy and comfort of a nice house. I do pay rent for my parents though. Another option is to move somewhere cheaper. I think the best option right now is to keep suffering and working until I make enough to move out into a comfortable place. Hit $4,000 from my app this month for the first time. This thread has been a delight to read. I can't wait to read more. Great work and good luck. He just went back and reread it myself. I had horrible flashbacks of the times when it was particularly tough. Can't believe it's been over 2 years. Wow, I just finished reading the thread. What an amazing journey. I will follow the thread and I wish you even more future success. Just throwing the link. Oh yeah, demand for mental health tools is gonna increase. I'm already seeing people breaking down over this isolation. Health and fitness apps are also doing well with people looking to work out and cook more. My downloads and purchases were down the past week or two. But this week, they've surged. My app isn't currently featured, so I'm attributing it to the virus leading to a rise in searches for health and fitness apps. Here is a cool site I found with charts on how App Store search have been affected by COVID-19. Also, here is a good interview with Chad Murata, one of the most famous app entrepreneurs. He wrote a book on the app business in 2012, but the App Store has changed since then and so have the strategies on building a successful app. This interview is a great up-to-date resource. My app was featured a few days ago in 2 different places and still is. And I just received the notification that it'll be on the To-Date tab tomorrow. I really want to hit that $5,000 or month mark this month. My features ended, but today I was featured again in the US and 87 other countries. I noticed that conversion from download, greater than purchase is higher in the US than in the UK. Bigger consumers maybe? I need to figure out a way to move more into the US market, as about 55% of my users are in the UK. And 30% in the US. I did it. I reached $5,000 this month off the app. Next step, $10,000. Hit $7,000 today. Come on, I can hit $10,000 this month. I can't believe it. My app is actually taking off. Congrats Nikita, nice to see it going well for you. Hey Nikita, read almost your entire thread and loved your journey. I plan on creating a thread for my app as well. So today is the 30th and I'm curious how much you've ended the month with? Congrats. About $8,500. Though, I think I'll reach more earned in a 30-day period in a couple of days. Maybe on the 5th or 6th May I'll see $9K plus. Best of luck with your app. What niche is it? Thanks. It's a web app in the digital privacy niche. Think 1Password or LastPass or Dashlane, but a bit different. Cool. Paste a link to the thread when you create it. I'd love to follow. Dude, this thread is amazing. Exactly what I needed to read. The grind is real, and so is the payoff. It took me some time. What they say is true, it'll take more time than you think, but also less time than you think. So, I made £11,000, $13,500 this month, and next month it's going to be about £20,000, $24,500. Funny thing is, last year at this point I had zero coming in from my business, but I set a goal to reach £20,000 per month by July, so I made it. But a year late, haha. I'm planning on moving to a hot country once we can travel again now that I have the funds. I'm thinking a nice villa by the sea. Yes. I just need to do it before the winter sets in so my productivity doesn't take a dive from the bad weather. Holy moly. Congrats Nikita, I'm happy for you. Quick question. Not sure if you've covered this already, but since you have an app on the App Store, I'm assuming this is B2C. How do you handle support requests? I currently have about 700 paying customers and inevitably some of them are. How should I put this? Difficult. Do you also deal with this? Thanks. Most support queries for me fall under : people who are just offering feedback. I thank them and tell them I've put their suggestion on the roadmap. This usually makes them happy that I replied, as most apps don't reply to you. People who kindly ask for a subscription cancellation or refund, I point them to Apple, as devs can't do this themselves. People who demand a refund right now, I just don't answer. These people usually word their request like, I hate this app, why did you take my money, give me a refund now. While I happily offer help to well-worded emails, I'm not dealing with people that are so rude. People who leave negative feedback on the app, I thank them for their suggestions. If they're overly rude, again, I don't reply. Basically, kindly reply if they're kind enough, and ignore if they're rabid about it. I've placed instructions within my app on how to cancel or request a refund. The way to cancel is very clear in the settings. It has its own section, and I ask them why they want to cancel so I know the reason and can improve the app. It does get annoying because it takes 2 seconds to Google how to cancel an Apple subscription, and some people claim I'm stealing their money. Lol. You're gonna get difficult customers, unfortunately. But thankfully most are nice. Man, I just read through this whole thread in one go, and seeing you continue to push even when things sucked ass, very inspiring stuff. A lot of people would have given up. So glad to see your app finally take off. You deserve it. Thanks. It's been a tough journey, but so worth it. I'm taking this app to the moon. I'm gonna beat all my competitors because my app is objectively better than most of them. Any updates? You enjoying the cocktails on the beach? Ha ha ha. Not yet, but I'm very close to it. I'm getting out of this country as soon as possible. The weather in London is absolutely disgusting right now. It hasn't stopped raining for weeks. How do people willingly live here? Jesus Christ. Currently planning a huge new feature and hiring developers to work on it. After it's done, it'll justify a price raise and it'll be a better app than all my competitors. If Apple features me again, I reckon I'll get to that level where I no longer need to freelance on the side. Great journey. Congratulations. Read in tight thread. Congratulations. Amazing journey. Good luck in the future. Hope you keep us posted. Raised my app's subscription costs and the purchases are still steady, so that's good. The big new feature is currently being developed. I'm confident the app will take off once it's released because it'll be objectively better than its competitors, and I'm not saying that just because it's mine. There's been a lull in freelance work, so I'm using the time to work on a new app. Steadily making progress on my new app. I've set a release date for mid-August, but I'll probably finish it next week. It gets easier with every new app. Can't believe my first one took me 8 months. While my main app is still being developed, big feature, and my new app is being taken care of by another developer, I've started another one. I know the formula to making a good app and getting it featured now. I can spit out several of these. If one of them won't make it big yet, several of them combined will work too. I also head to Greece in 2 weeks. If I like it as much as I did last year, I'm not going back to the United Kingdom of authoritarianism. Are each of your apps related or in the same niche, or are you exploring completely different ideas? Different niches. I'd say they all have health and productivity in common, but they're not related. I mostly look at well-performing apps that have design issues or are limited in features, or users are leaving lots of reviews but requesting certain features. Working on launching my 2 new apps. I've been going through a lot of mood shifts, and at one point even my physical health declined. Of course, every test came back perfect because I knew it was due to my psychological state. Setting proper routines now and time to relax. One new thing I've started is finding people I'd love to connect and be friends with that are successful, and going after them. Well, that sounds a bit strange put in words, but I find that most people around me are either unmotivated or in that rich person bad mindset. Especially at my young age, It's almost impossible to find motivated people who want to be rich like I need to be connected with the top of the top. People that are better and more successful than me so I can reach their level. My goal to be a millionaire at 24 is going to be achieved. This thread deserves gold. So amazing that you kept tracking your progress consistently from the beginning, no matter whether people reacted to your posts or not. It is so important to see all the work with no reward at the beginning. Most people stop there, only because they see no silver lining. Thank you. It's been tough because, like you said, there is no reward, for a long time. But suddenly one day it all comes together. Younger me definitely wouldn't have believed what I achieved. Just like how right now I almost can't believe that one day I'll have my millions and Greek villa. Did a lot of work on one of my apps today, that I plan to launch in July. The design looks great, the website looks great, I'm excited. Designing and launching apps is actually what I want to do for the rest of my life. And now I've hit the winning formula, it is what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life. Gonna run some FB ads for my main app soon and see how that turns out. Hey, congrats on launching 2 new apps, that's amazing progress. Is this a landing page? If so, what did make you go for landing pages these days? I remember you used not to and just rely on SEO. Thanks. And yes, it's a landing page. Your standard site to promote an app. Before launch I'll be using it to collect emails. I like having a site because it looks more professional and Apple likes them when you request to be featured. Also, I can host some wordier articles on the site so I don't have to create separate app screens within the app, can just make a button open a web page. It's good for promotion as well across social media. And I enjoy making awesome progress. Definitely gold. You might want to check this thread out. Wow, what a story. Congratulations, Nikita, well done. Just have read this thread on one breathe. Can you share links to your apps? Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate you reading through it all. It's quite a long thread. I would love to share my apps, but I'm fiercely for my anonymity. I've always been overly cautious, I think because I'm worried about some posts coming back to bite me in the ass. It's a problem now because I really do want to share my work here, and it would make it a better experience for people reading the thread. Perhaps one day when I reach a huge milestone, I'll have to think about it. Jesus. Looking back at some of my posts, I really hate London, don't I? I need to be a bit more positive. Some tough experiences have made me very cynical, and being negative just invites more negativity. That being said, I'm still totally leaving London behind and buying a villa in Greece. I visited for the 3rd time in August and just stared from my balcony in awe for several hours every night. Paradise exists and it's in Greece. I have the exact villa bookmarked and I will buy that exact one. Dublin guy here. I know exactly how you feel. I've got a spot in Gran Canaria or Puerto Rico in mind once I get to your level. I love your thread. I'm in India and I recently set up a guide for anyone trying to get into apps so they don't get ripped off. But now I'm thinking you should have set up the thread instead of me. LOL. The weather is quite dire here, isn't it? Gran Canaria is lovely and I know a few people who have relocated there. Nice thread. Can't believe I haven't seen it before. Been seeing a lot of videos recommended to me from YouTubers I used to watch. That and the book I'm currently reading, 10x Rule, just made me realize that I'm not doing enough. Sure, I got to a comfortable income level, but I'm not rich. And I'm slacking. So I will work tirelessly until I get results. I've stopped a lot of freelance work to just focus on I have money saved up, so I'm fine for a long time. I was going to hire a developer to work on my Tricky-or app, but their quote was huge, and I know if I improve my dev skills I'll never need to rely on developers. So my plan is to grind development for a few weeks until I'm expert level, already intermediate, then work on my apps. 1. Ray Wendelich Tutorials 2. We've launched the app, websites and planned the social media. Now it's just going through the courses and making the apps. Finish courses roughly 100 to 150 hours. June 1 ST finish apps, July 1 SD launch, July 15th. As a developer who likes doing the grunt work, I tend to agree. Even if your time might be best spent on designing the apps, if some of them require a huge money upfront, it might be better to improve your coding skills and put at least the bulk of the work yourself until you can afford outsourcing more. Not to discourage you at all with this, but moving from intermediate to expert will take more than a few weeks. That's a good thing though. It can be a fun and fulfilling journey. I just measure progress in months rather than weeks. Hey, maybe more than 2 weeks. Good enough to work on my apps without it being spaghetti code at least. I know here it's recommended to just get to work, but I've done that in the past, and while it works, it's a total pain going back to fix the code or hiring a developer to fix it or adding features because the way you coded the app makes it a nightmare to do so. I'm definitely in the learn how to code camp versus outsourcing. Though as you said, later on when you have the money, outsourcing is a good idea.